It's time for you to cancel all of your expensive monthly API subscriptions because in this video, I'm going to show you how you can set up a private API that is almost entirely free and gives you unlimited use. This can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars in monthly subscriptions you're probably paying for, but don't actually need. It's like the Swiss Army knife for AI automations. I've got an N8N automation I'm going to walk through to demonstrate the features of this free API. Then I'll show you how to install this free toolkit and where to get this N8N template. Now let me explain this free toolkit in 15 seconds. Now you see companies like OpenAI who sell ChatGPT, they write code and they deploy that code on servers, and then they allow you to use those servers, and running that code doesn't cost very much to them, but they sell it back to us at an extreme markup and they make a lot of money. And we end up having to pay for it. But it turns out a lot of this code is free and we can deploy this code into our own server and we can access our own server at the same cost that it costs them. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to access this free code, which is right here on GitHub. It's called the No-Code Architects Toolkit. And I'll show you those features by walking you through this N8N automation. All right, so let's walk through this. This isn't actually a real automation. All this is different nodes that are connected up to different features of the toolkit. Like some of the most common ones you might think of is like, how do you transcribe a video? So here is an N8N node that will do just that. So we're calling a backend API. Again, we've deployed this code in this particular case to DigitalOcean and it's running here. So you don't need to understand all of these little details, but we're basically sending this particular endpoint, which does video transcriptions or audio transcriptions, a remote file. We're asking for the transcription. We're also asking for the SRT file. And if we test this endpoint, it's going to take this video here of me on the school games, and it's going to bring back that transcript. And it's also going to bring back that SRT file that you can use for captions. You might also want to caption your videos. So this endpoint here will take that same video and it will actually put captions on that video for free. You can run that endpoint and you can see it responded back to us with a URL. I can take that and I can go ahead and play it, and you can see that it is already highlighting the active word and it has added the captions. So now I'll just continue to walk through some of these cool features. This endpoint here will actually get us a thumbnail from any point in that video. We can define what second we want to pull that thumbnail from. If you test this endpoint, simply going to respond back with an image. And here you can see that image. In this module here, we have a endpoint that will combine two videos together. Here I've got that same school clip that's going to be combined into one. So over here on the original, you can see it was 9 seconds, and over here it is 19. It just plays the same clip twice in this case. In this module here, we can actually make cuts into a video, so we can take certain segments out of the video. That particular API call works really good with this one down here in the media section, which will detect silence in a video. In this endpoint here, we can detect silence that is longer than 0.1 seconds. It returns those specific moments in the video, and then you could simply cut those out with this endpoint here. You pass in those cuts here. This endpoint here will actually cut a single video into multiple parts. So we have that school clip. In this case, you can see that it returned 2 separate files, one for each of the clips that we requested. We can also trim video if you want to remove the beginning and the ending from a particular video. And there's also a very powerful endpoint that is called FFmpeg Compose, which uses the FFmpeg tool. I really encourage you to check out FFmpeg. It's what most of these different endpoints actually use behind the scenes. It's the free code that we deployed on our server. This particular tool is very flexible and it exposes everything that this tool is able to do. Like this endpoint here, we can actually crop videos from others. So here is a YouTube video in typical horizontal format. But if we were to run this endpoint, we can actually crop out a particular section and then also scale it for a vertical video on platforms like TikTok. And then we can take a look at the vertical video that it created from the horizontal video. We can also add a logo to a video. Here's that same clip of me on the school games and a link to a logo. You can go ahead and run that. And there you have the same video, but now with my logo on the bottom left. You can also create your own tweet pics. Here I've got a thumbnail that was created from the same school games video clip and a tweet pic. I'll show you the template. So we have this tweet pic that we generated, and now we can overlay it onto this other video thumbnail. So there you can see we can overlay images on other images. You could also overlay a tweet pic on a video itself, just like this, where we have the video and now the image overlaid. You can even build those reaction style videos where one person is reacting to another video. We'll test this out. In this case, it's taking the video that we're reacting to and then the video where we actually react to it, and it's going to assemble a final video that looks similar to the ones you've seen online, where one person is sitting here watching this other video and then they respond. And then here's that example output. I'm actually watching my own video in this case on the school games. And then here's an example of where you can overlay some text on a template certificate. So we have this certificate that we use inside of our community, the No-Code Architects. And when someone finishes a level on one of our courses, we give them that certificate. And so we can actually process that here. And then you can see here, we fill in the member information with the instructor and the date. We can also add in the logo. There's other things you can do as well that are more self-explanatory, like you can convert any audio or video into an MP3. We already showed you the transcribe function and the detect silence function for using with the cuts or something else. You can also download videos off of platforms like TikTok or Instagram. Here I have my own TikTok link here. I'm going to go ahead and run the endpoint. It's also going to download the thumbnail. And what's cool here is you can always look at your server and the logs and you can see what it's doing and how it's responding to all of your requests. It gives you a bunch of information about the video, including the description, the thumbnails. It'll actually give you the view count as well. And then you can look at the video. There it is. It's actually one of my YouTube videos that I turned into a TikTok. And you can notice as well, it doesn't have the TikTok watermark. You can also convert any type of file to another type. If you want to convert an MP4 to a .mov or some type of audio into any other type of audio, it will allow you to do that. You can also get the metadata for any video. So if I run that on that clip of me at the school games, here we can see the bit rate, the audio channels, the audio sampling rate, the duration, the file size, the format, frames per second, whether it has audio and video, the height, obviously the width, the resolution, everything that you could ever want about any given type of media. And you can do the same for audio. You can also convert images into video. This is cool when you want some slight automation and you want to turn your image into a video and get that slight zoom in effect like Ken Burns. Here you can see an image that I generated with AI and then I gave it that slight zoom in effect. You can also run Python code and you can also upload files to different cloud providers. You can also combine audio like we did with video. And now that I've shown you a bunch of the different features, which are pretty much unlimited with this FFmpeg Compose, I want to show you how the toolkit actually works. So far, I've been showing you how to execute the automations inline, where when the automation runs, it runs and it takes a few seconds to process and then it will respond and then you can use it in the next node. There are also two different ways that you can use the toolkit other than the inline method that we just showed you, which can sometimes be problematic if the process is going to take much longer because it's a much longer video. Maybe it's a 45-minute video that you're processing. It's going to take longer. So another way that you can use the toolkit is with webhooks. Here I've got another N8N automation sitting here waiting, and it's simply got a webhook. So I can go ahead and test that webhook and come back here. And now I've set up this particular node that is combining two pieces of audio. When it's done, it's going to send that request back to this specific webhook URL, which is this webhook here. So we'll go ahead and test this step. It's going to respond right away in this scenario and just tell us that it's processing. It's going to process in the background. And then once it's done, it will send that request to the webhook for processing. And then we can see the result here. And we have the concatenated audio file right here. So this is great for longer running processes that aren't appropriate to try to process in a shorter time frame where your automation is quickly moving along and finishing. So that's if you want to process it as a webhook. There's also another way that you can process long running processes or requests if you want it to take place in a single automation like this. In this case here, we're captioning a video and it's going to respond right away, except in this case, we passed an empty string to the webhook URL. That allows the toolkit to process in the background. And then instead of sending that result to another webhook, it's going to respond with its status, and then we can continually check to see if the status is done. And when it is done, we can go ahead and download that file. Otherwise, we can wait a few seconds and then check the job status again. And then when it's done, we can finally download it. So now let's go ahead and test the scenario where it's running in the background and we wait for it to complete. Here we issued the command for caption. Notice it responded right away. We checked the status and now it is in a loop while it is waiting for that job to be done. And then when it is done, it will go ahead and download the file. So again, this is good if you have a longer running process where you want to run the entire automation in the same automation instead of using the webhook. And there you see it finished. We can actually look at the response and the job status is done. And then it responded back with our captioned video. So there's a ton of different features here, as you can see. There's a few that I also skipped in the beginning, which are there to help you test the toolkit when you install it to test the authentication and also to test file uploads. And then there's 2 endpoints here, which allow you to see all of the different jobs that the toolkit is working on. If I click this, it will show us all of the jobs. A lot of these jobs are the ones that we just ran in this demo today. And then you can also check the status of individual jobs. So if I were to grab this specific job ID here and go into this endpoint here and paste it into the endpoint and run the test, here we're going to see the details about that specific job and the response and everything about it. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to install the toolkit. Now, there are lots of different ways you can actually deploy this, especially if you're concerned about costs. There are very cheap ways of deploying this. Right now, I'm going to show you the easiest way, but if you're looking for a lot more help on this toolkit, make sure to jump into the No-Code Architects community. It's an engaged group of people, and we can answer all of your questions on the NCA toolkit. Now, I'm going to walk you through the installation step by step, but I do have instructions here on the GitHub project. I'm recommending the Google Cloud platform because not only can you get some free credits, but there's a free tier. And when you're not using the system, it doesn't cost anything. And when you're using it a lot, it scales very well without crashing. And Harrison Fisher here also helped improve the toolkit so it better handles long running processes, which used to be an issue on the Google Cloud platform. So to get started, you need to log into the Google Cloud platform. Now, keep in mind, I'm using my personal Gmail to set this up, not my business workspace with my own unique domain. And I'm doing that on purpose because it's a lot easier to set up on your personal Gmail. Now, if you haven't set up your billing, you're going to need to set up your billing first. Once you've done that, you should be able to create a new project. Now, if you don't see a link to create a new project here, you should be able to come up here to select a project and you can click new project. I'm going to go ahead and use NCA Toolkit. And we'll create that project. Once it's finished, you can go ahead and select that project. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come over to API services. We're going to go to enable APIs. We'll go ahead and do a search. We'll search for cloud storage API. If it's not already enabled, you want to enable it. It looks like this one is already there. Then you'll want to type Google Storage API again. This time we're going to go with the Google Cloud Storage JSON API. This looks like it's already enabled as well. If it wasn't, then you'll want to enable it. Then we're going to come back to the search. We're going to type Cloud Run API. Click that. And this time we're going to have to enable it. Next up, we're going to come back up over here. We're going to come down to service accounts. We're going to create a new service account. We'll call it the NCA Toolkit service account. We'll go ahead and create and continue. And now for permissions, we're going to go ahead and type storage admin. And we're going to add that one. We're going to add another role, viewer. And we're going to go ahead and add some more roles that we're going to need later, but we're going to add the Google Run Jobs Executor and the Cloud Run Jobs Executor with overrides. Then you can go ahead and continue, and then you can go ahead and click done. From here, we're going to come over to actions, and we are going to manage keys. We're going to add new key, create new key, and we're going to go with JSON. And this is an area why I'm using the personal Gmail, because if you're using your Google business account, you're going to run into security issues that can be overcome, but they're quite difficult and not easy for beginners. Notice it downloaded that to your downloads folder. We don't need it now, but just remember that it's there. We'll go ahead and close. Now we're going to come back up to the menu. You're going to go to cloud storage, then you're going to go to buckets. Then we're going to create a new bucket. You'll have to come up with a unique name. So I'm going to go with my NCA Toolkit storage. If it's not unique, it'll just tell you that and you'll have to pick another. For where to store your data, you can just go ahead and leave that as multi-region. You can leave all the defaults here as well. Continue. For choosing how to control access, go ahead and uncheck enforce public access prevention on this bucket. Go ahead and click continue. You can leave this as is. Continue. It's going to create your bucket. Now from here, we're going to go to permissions and we're going to grant access. For add principals, we're going to go ahead and type all users. And then here for assign, we're going to type storage object viewer. Go ahead and select that. Then you're going to go ahead and click save. And then you're going to go ahead and allow public access. Now from here, we're going to come back to the menu. We're going to jump down to Cloud Run and we're going to go to services. From here, we are going to create a service. We are going to deploy from Docker Hub. You can leave that there. In the document that I linked below, you're going to be able to grab this Docker container location here. You can copy it. You're going to paste it right here. You can go ahead and leave the service name as No-Code Architects Toolkit. For the region, I'm going to go ahead and use Central 1, Iowa. For authentication, you're going to allow public access. And again, I want to mention here that there is a free tier here. So if you don't use this a lot, it won't actually cost you anything. For billing, we're going to want to go to instance-based. For service scaling, we're going to want to leave this at 0. This is what allows you to pay nothing when you're not using it. If you set it to 1, it will always have something running. So leave that at 0. And then for the max number of instances, I'm going to go ahead with 5. You're basically telling Google Cloud Run how many instances it can run at any given time. For ingress, go ahead and leave that as all. Then we're going to go ahead and expand this. You can go ahead and leave the container port as 8080. These other settings can be left alone. I'm going to go ahead and update this to 16 gigabytes. And for CPUs, I'm going to go with 4. You can go with something smaller if you'd like to start. What I like about the Google Cloud, again, is that when you're not using anything, you don't pay for anything. This just makes it so when I do run something, it goes a bit faster. You can leave GPU off. Now we're going to come up here to variables and secrets. We're going to add some environment variables. You want to be very careful here that you type things just as I am, otherwise it will not work. You also want to make sure you don't put any spaces before or after here in these environment variables, both on the name and the values. And also pay attention to when I'm using underscores or dashes. So here we're going to type GCP underscore bucket name. And for the value here, you're going to want to use the name that you gave your bucket. So if you need to, go ahead and come back, open this up in a new window so you don't lose where you're at. Go into your bucket. And the best thing to do is really just to cut and paste this so that you get it exactly. Drop that here in the value. Then you can go ahead and add the next variable. For this one, you're going to type API underscore key. Again, make sure no spaces before or after. And for testing, you can go ahead and type test 1, 2, 3. And you can always come back here later and make this more secure. Now you're going to add another variable here. Here you're going to type GCP underscore SA credentials. Make sure you spell everything correctly. Now for this, you're going to go to your downloads. Remember the file that we downloaded when we created our service account. It should be in your downloads. I'm going to go ahead and open this with Visual Studio. You'll want to grab this here, copy, and paste that into the value. I'm going to go ahead and add another variable. Here I'm going to type G unicorn underscore workers. And then for the value, I'm going to type 1. I'm going to go ahead and add one more variable here. And for this one, we're going to type GCP underscore job underscore name. And for the value, you can just type No-Code Architects Toolkit. And with that, you should be good for this section. Go ahead and scroll down. Go ahead and leave requests at 300 for maximum concurrent requests per instance. Go ahead and move this to 1. For execution environment, go ahead and move this to 2nd generation. And then for revision scaling, go ahead and put 0 and 5. You can leave startup CPU boost on, and then you should be good to go. You can go ahead and create your instance. It's going to take just a second. Go ahead and be patient while this boots up for the first time. And once you see the green check mark, that means it's deployed. Now I'm going to show you how to make sure you've installed it correctly. I'm going to go to postman.com. This is a platform that allows you to test APIs. You can sign up for free. I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Then if you jump back to the document that I shared with you, you can go to this Postman link. If you click on that, this is going to give you a bunch of different API calls that you can use on the NCA Toolkit for video processing, for audio processing, for creating captions, transcriptions. Definitely encourage you to open up all of these and check out what it can do. For now, go ahead and click on the NCA Toolkit. From here, you will be able to fork this into your own workspace. If you get that error, it's likely because you're not in your own workspace. Go ahead and make sure you're in your workspace. Then come back to the toolkit, fork my NCA Toolkit fork collection, and then you'll be able to open this up and see all of the different API calls that you have access to using the toolkit, captioning videos, transcribing video, turning images into videos. But first, we're going to focus on this branch here, the toolkit, which allows us to test the toolkit. First, we need to authenticate and make sure the authentication works. You'll notice that this base URL is red. What you'll want to do is to come up to environment here, and you'll want to create a new environment. I'm going to type Google Cloud. We're going to add a variable base URL. We're going to jump back over to Google Cloud where we have this URL here. We're going to copy it. We'll drop that here. And then we're going to add one more, x-api-key. And here we are going to type test123, which if you remember is the password that we added when we launched our instance here. Again, you can change this later. Then you want to make sure to save these settings. And then if you come back to authenticate, you'll notice that it is no longer red, and you should be able to send this to your toolkit. And if you get a success, then you know you have it working. If you get anything other than that, you're going to want to go back through the video and make sure you followed all of the steps. Once you test the authentication, go ahead and click on test here, which is going to make sure you can upload into your storage bucket. Go ahead and click send. You should get another success. And if you click on this link here, you have to do command click, then it should open up. You have successfully installed the NCA Toolkit API. Great job. So we're almost done. The next thing we have to do is add the new feature that we just created that allows us to run longer running processes. It used to be with the NCA Toolkit on Google Cloud, you could only run processes that averaged about 4 to 5 minutes in processing length. With the new jobs feature we added, we can run jobs as long as they take. So when you're processing really long videos where it might take 30 to 60 minutes to do some complex processing, we can now do that on Google Cloud. All right, so for this, we're going to jump back over to the Google Cloud. Now we're going to come up here. We're going to go to Google Run, and we're going to go to Jobs. Here, we're going to create a new job. Now for the container image, we're going to come back here to the document again, and we're going to grab this Docker container. We'll come back here. We'll add that here. For the region, I'm going to go ahead and again type Central, and we'll go with Central 1 in Iowa. For the number of tasks, I'm going to go ahead and leave that at 1. And then we'll go ahead and open this up here. You can go ahead and leave this part blank. I'm going to go ahead and go with 16 and 4 for the memory and for the CPU. You can go ahead and leave the GPUs off. For task capacity, you can go ahead and leave this at 1, and then you're going to want to leave this at whatever is the maximum time you want a job to run. I'm going to go with 1 hour because most tasks can run within that. It is possible that you might need to extend that if you're doing even longer video processing. For number of retries, I usually leave that at 1, and then you can go ahead and leave this on run as many tasks concurrently as possible. Then we're going to come back up here to variables and secrets, and we're going to add the variables just like we did in the other section. And if you need to, you can always come back to Google Run, open up just the services tab. You can jump into your service, edit and deploy, and go to variables and secrets, and you can just copy and paste from here. So for the GCP bucket name, we're going to grab this. Again, just make sure to type everything just like I am. GCP bucket name, underscores with no spaces before or after. You can paste that in, add another variable. This one was the API key. Again, we'll go with test 1, 2, 3. You can copy and paste your GCP credentials. Make sure you get everything. GCP underscore SA credentials. Make sure you spell everything correctly. Paste. Here we're going to type G unicorn workers. Again, go ahead with 1. Then we're going to do GCP job name, and we'll go with No-Code Architects Toolkit. And then we're also going to add one more, which is G unicorn timeout. And we're going to go ahead and put 3600, which is the same as our timeout that we added below. So whatever you select here, you have to add in seconds here as well. Otherwise, the service itself can time out, whereas this is the job running out. And if you have that, you can go ahead and create your job. Once you've created that, you're not going to have any history because you haven't run this before. Now, in order to test this, we're going to come back to our Postman, and this time we're going to go to test job, and then you're going to come over here to body. And now we just need to replace a test webhook URL here. So for this, I'm going to jump back to the document, and here we have this link here. It's just a website that lets you test webhooks. If you come here, it's going to give you a test webhook that you can use. You see here, you can go ahead and click on that. You can come here and copy this to your clipboard, come back to Postman, and you can drop that in right here. And then you're going to go ahead and run this. Now, it's going to take a few minutes for this to run the first time, so be patient. When you do run these jobs, it takes a bit longer, but you need this webhook URL here in order to initiate the job. So we'll go ahead and click send. Should get a response back here showing that the job was created. If you come back to Google Cloud, you should now see in your jobs, you have an execution that is running when it was created. Again, the first time this runs, it is going to take a second to get started. You can see this isn't actually running yet because it is downloading the toolkit. Again, be patient. It will take a little bit longer to run the first time. From here in observability, you can see some statistics here, and you can also watch the logs. So you can see things running. While this is running as well, I should mention over in the Cloud Run, in your services, you can also check out the logs here to see all of the logs for the toolkit. In case you're seeing any errors here, you can see the test that we ran originally. Okay, now we can see that this ran successfully. You can see the job here. You can view the logs. You can see that it responded on the webhook. So if we come back to webhook.site, you can see that the toolkit just sent us back the webhook of this successful API call. In this case, what we were requesting was metadata for a specific MP3 file. So we can see the response, the file size, the duration of the MP3. If I jump back to Postman here, we can see we called the media metadata API call, which is going to give us metadata on this MP3 file. We can see the duration, the format, the bit rate, the codec, the sampling rate, and the total runtime and everything like that. So if you see this, you are totally set up with the toolkit with the new job feature for long running processes, and you can continue on with the video. If you're not seeing this webhook come through or seeing errors here, then you'll want to go back in the video and make sure you did everything correctly. All right, so now that you've seen how easy it is to install the toolkit, I also want to show you how easy it is to add more features. So again, this is an open source project, so this is totally free. And it's not just me who is building out this tool. There are other contributors that are working on this tool as well. You can also come over here and make your own requests for features in the toolkit. And there are other people that are also submitting new features all the time. This is not only a free tool, but it's also something that you can make requests to if you want something put into this tool that isn't already there. And me or somebody else could actually add that feature in there for you because it's going to benefit everybody. Now, if you want dedicated help on the NCAA toolkit, make sure to jump into the No-Code Architects community. Inside the classroom, there's a complete course on the toolkit. We also have a course and a bunch of projects that use the toolkit that you can take advantage of, as well as a course to help you build your AI automation business. Similar to the $5,000 AI product that I sell, the Content Engine Database. It's an engaged group, and we promise to solve 100% of all of our members' tech questions. I'd love to see you inside the community. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.